And welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Peter Winnick. I'm the founder and CEO of Thought Leadership Leverage, and you're joining us on the podcast today, which is Leveraging Thought Leadership. And today, my guest is John Jantsch. John's a rock star in this space. I've been following John's work for longer than I care to admit, probably at least 15 years, maybe longer. So I'll give you his official bio, and then I'll give you some more accolades. So John's a marketing consultant. He's a speaker, and he's the author of Duct Tape Marketing, Duct Tape Selling, The Commitment Engine, SEO for Growth, and the Referral Engine. He's the founder of the Duct Tape Marketing Consultant Network. His latest book, The Self-Reliant Entrepreneur, 366 Daily Meditations to Feed Your Soul and Grow Your Business, is a daily reminder to entrepreneurs that a better you makes a better business. So John's sort of a legend in the business, and I'm really happy that he is choosing to spend some time with us today. So welcome aboard, John.
Well, thanks, Peter. And I'll give your audience a little hint at my age. That soundtrack that you queued up there to start us off was from a movie I saw in high school.
Oh, so if you didn't hear it, that was Staying Alive. So we got to do the math. That's in the 70s, carry the one. Yeah, so you're not a millennial. I'm going to go with that. We'll just leave it at that.
That's right.
So anyway, did you have the wet suit with Staying Alive or not?
No, I didn't really participate in the disco movement.
Good. There you go. More Allman Brothers. Anyway,
Right, exactly.
So you've been at this a while. So I want to talk a little bit. You've got a new book that came out.
Yeah.
But this is your what number book? 6, 7, 8?
My sixth book. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's just talk a little bit about sort of when you made the decision to publish the last book. What goes through your mind that's different than when you did your first or second book in terms of how to choose a publisher, the marketing, all that fun stuff?
Yeah. So you're absolutely right. A lot of things. I mean, fortunately, a few of my books have sold okay, so I am able to attract the attention of the traditional publishers that know my work. So that makes that always makes life a little easier in this game. But I will say that this topic was so different for me. My other books are squarely how to do some aspect of marketing. This book is really more why to, how to show up as an entrepreneur, how to stay inspired. I mean, it's a daily format. I mean, everything about it is different than my past works. And so a couple things, we ended up going to a different publisher who really said, yeah, I want this book.
Okay.
I was with Portfolio in kind of my 3 books prior, and this book is published by Wiley. And a lot of that had to do with the fact that they have an editor there that just really wanted anything from me in a way. That's probably overstating it, but was willing to take a risk on maybe a completely different book, I should say, from me. And I will say that one of the things that has been challenging from a marketing standpoint, but also a lot of fun, is that, for this book to truly achieve its potential, I have to get outside the marketing bubble. This book has entrepreneur, startup, coaching, maybe even some spiritual, shows and things that would be interested in this work. And so I'm talking to people that I haven't spoken with that don't know my name. They don't think, oh, okay, duct tape marketing. Sure, I'll have you, come talk to our people. And
so I want to go there for a minute because there's a bit of an irony that you're a marketing guy, right? So one of the things that I do a lot of work on with my clients, and we arm wrestle over this a lot early on, is listen, we've got to define your platform. We've got to solve for X, and to me, X is you're the X guy. So if somebody mentions your name to me, I'm like, oh, you're the duct tape marketing guy. Period. Full stop. And that's not an accident that you've burned that into my brain, right? I've read several of your books. You follow your stuff. You've out there in a long time, branding, et cetera, et cetera. Now you come out there and you throw this 365 daily meditations, and I'm like, whoa, okay, kind of not what I expected. I trust you. I like your work, so I'll give you a shot. But at some level, violates a lot of what I work with my clients on, saying, listen, you got to stay in your lane. You build your followers, you build your tribe. They're expecting a certain message from you. It doesn't have to be exactly on point, but tell me about sort of the risk that you took. This is a pretty radical risk because people were expecting duct tape fill in the blank, right, as the next thing from you, and it probably would have been an easy runaway bestseller.
Well, I'll let you down a little bit on this.
Okay.
Duct tape reapplied is actually going to come out in 2020.
Good. Okay. Good.
And it's not just a new edition. I mean, it is a major evolution of the point of view and all the tactics. So I certainly haven't abandoned that. But in a lot of ways, as a creative, as a human being.
Oh, that.
The risk was, yeah. The risk for me was in not writing this book. This is a book that I've been in some ways working on, and maybe it'll just be a gift, to the people that find it. But it's a book that I've been working on, myself for 20 years. I
Okay.
think entrepreneurship is one of the great personal development programs ever created.
Yep.
And so this book reflects a lot of my own personal development. And so, so every now and then we ought to write a book because we feel like we have something to say.
So I love that. No. So it's true. So again, when we're talking to folks around, well, why are you writing this book? A lot of your other books, it made sense, right? This is your domain expertise. Yep. People know that you have gravitas and you have something to say here, et cetera. But there's nothing wrong, obviously, with writing a book that's, one of the reasons you were put on this planet is to get this book out, right? And it was gnawing at you for a long time. And maybe the value prop or the marketing position is not exactly where one would, your former publisher might have liked, but you just said, I got to get this out. So it's interesting how does that playbook differ from the next duct tape book that would be coming out? What's different about this for you from a marketing perspective?
Well, what I first mentioned is that, certainly I went out to my network of folks that had heard of duct tape marketing, and they were like, sure, John, come on the show. What's this book about?
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm also, I was on a meditation radio program the other day. That particular host had never heard of duct tape marketing, but they thought the idea behind the book was okay.
Wouldn't be a silent meditation radio because that'd be boring, right? All right, I had to ask.
No, it's a program about meditation and things related. I know, but so there's a side of me that this is definitely more personal side than business. It's certainly related to business. I've worked with thousands of entrepreneurs over the years that are getting the life sucked out of them because they don't have the right mindset. And so this book, in some ways, certainly addresses that mission that I've had with my marketing with entrepreneurs. But it's a book that we joked about my age. I'm actually 59. It's a book that, because of the format, because it features a tremendous amount of writing from the mid-19th century, I don't think it'll ever go out of style. And there's nothing in it that that's going to get dated. And so it's a book that maybe I continue to nurture and kind of pursue, at some point when I decide, I'm done doing the showing up every day and doing marketing.
Right. So a little more evergreen. So that was really helpful, John, because, again, a little bit unusual, sort of moving away from your core, but I love that. I want to pivot for a moment to the other thing that you do a lot of, which is keynote speaking. So let's just talk at first generally around how that business is changing and evolving, and what you need to do that's the same and what you need to do that's different in order to win at that game.
Yeah, so I actually kind of backed into that, and what I mean by that is that when I was building my practice, my business originally, I found speaking is absolutely the best way to get clients.
Okay.
So I would go and speak for free, and there would be 50 prospects in the audience who would say, this person seems to know what they're talking about. And there was, some way for them to get a hold of me. And so that was how I started. And I still today teach people to do that. I think it is one of the greatest ways to speed up the sales cycle, for somebody to meet you, like what you have to say, level of trust.
One is just easy math. What does it cost me to speak, right? What's my customer acquisition cost? Same marketing metrics we would use anywhere else. And if it's an effective tactic, go for it. Then you do more. So that's cool.
Yeah.
And so how's it changed?
Well, so obviously I started doing that. Then people started offering me money to do it, and I started traveling to do it. And then my first book came out, and all of a sudden people offered me a lot more money to do it, and a lot more in demand. And so to me, obviously, the book sold well, but the book also led to a lot of opportunity beyond just the sales from bookstores. So that, reputation and staying out there and continuing to publish works, has kind of kept that going. I've stayed in the small business space, so I'm not doing the corporate, annual meeting, kind of events. And so in some ways, maybe this is my own limiting belief, but you're kind of capped in terms of the upper range fee if you're speaking at for a manufacturer, for their
Sure.
distributors or an association or something like that. You are a little limited, but it also leads to other opportunities now for my consultant network and for for getting clients for them as well.
If you're enjoying this episode of Leveraging Thought Leadership, please make sure to subscribe. If you'd like to help spread the word about our podcast, please leave us a review and share it with your friends. We're available on Apple Podcast and on all major listening apps, as well as at thoughtleadershipleverage.com/podcasts. So let's talk about that for a minute, because I think what I've observed certainly is, there's lots of different reasons to speak. So you talked about you speak for free, you find new clients. That's awesome, right? Then you get paid to speak in different markets, as you mentioned. The Association of Manufacturers of Wingnuts isn't going to have the budget that Oracle is going to have for their sales force.
Right.
So there's different price points there. So I think the other piece that you need to think about when it comes to speaking is why. So if you're doing it for the fee, that's awesome. Then you want to maximize your fee. If you're doing it for exposure, do you have the right mix of product, services, and solutions? So in your case, you've got a consulting network. So if you get in front of a certain avatar, it's going to generate leads for that. So tell us sort of how do you balance your product mix against the ideal audience to help you make those decisions?
Well, I'd like to say I have a grand plan. Sometimes you just kind of look for opportunities and you pursue them. But I do think that if I've done anything well, I've done a good job at seeing how all these things integrate.
Yep.
My books, my podcast, my blog, the speaking, the fact that I have a consultant network that's out there, also, promoting duct tape marketing, all of those things kind of support each other. And, increasingly, because the network has grown to be, such a significant part of what we do, increasingly as we develop training and even product offerings, in 2020, we're going to take a pretty big leap into training internal hires. So instead of just promoting the business owners, we're going to go after that certified marketing manager that companies are hiring and they don't know what to do with. We're going to help teach them and help train them and actually help support them. So that's a whole new market we're going to tackle.
Great.
But as we develop new markets or new approaches, new programs, I'm always thinking about, how's this going to impact our small business consulting? How's this going to impact our network? So a lot of times I've chosen to kind of develop new things, with a market. So if I have small business owners, as readers, and I want to develop a training program, I'll start with them. Say, okay, what do you need? Let's develop this. How would you like this delivered? Same with this new initiative.
So I want to talk about that for a second, though. So it seems so obvious, right? So I've got a market of X. They like me. They're loyal. You're generous, right? You're giving them the podcast. You're giving them blog. You're putting a lot of stuff out there. And then what happens is far too many people say, aha, the light bulb went off in the shower.
Yep.
Well, that would be bad, in my sleep or whatever. And I have a vision for certification or a video or an app or whatever. I'm going to go build it and then sell it. And I think they're missing the key point. If you ask your market what they want, and you have to give them some framing around that. It can't be just a totally open question.
They will tell some weird stuff if you do that.
Yeah, but they'll tell you, and then it just from a risk management, like if you get 1,000 followers saying, yes, I would buy that sweater for you in blue, John, and we're going to make it in pink. Holy cow, that's a no-brainer. But why don't enough thought leaders and speakers just do that?
First off, I need to tell you that I had a couple failures that taught me that lesson. So, I didn't just wake up one day and think I'm smarter than everybody else. But I do think there is a little bit of that. We get really sold on our own stuff. We have a really good idea. A couple of people tell us it's a good idea. And so we just, we go out there and say, aha, I'm going to seize the market. And in some ways, sometimes what happens is you may have the hit on the right solution, the thing that people need, but you just don't know how to communicate it in a way that the market says, oh yeah, that solves the problem I have. So it's not just the product itself.
Sure.
It's how do we talk about it? How do we message it? What problem does it actually address? Because that's where we get in trouble is we try to solve problems that don't exist or that people don't know they have.
Then the other thing people do is they say, well, you say, well, what's the comparable? What will this replace? What's the incumbent? Oh no, this is a whole new da da da. And it's like
Right. Right.
it's far easier to sell something that has an incumbent and say,
Yeah.
you're buying X. My Y is just a better, quicker, cheaper, faster version of X, and let me tell you about that because
Yeah.
that means it already has a budget, and it's, you got to make
Yep.
it easier for the buyer to get their head around it.
Yep. Yep.
Cool.
I mean, the sad thing about it is, there certainly have been innovations that rocked markets, but
Yeah. No. Of course. Right. Right. Right.
and
Right.
so people look at that and think, I'm going to do that. I'm going to make the next iPhone. But yeah, that's harder said than done.
So, John, you've got a bit of a different model than most, where you've got a network of consultants and lots of speakers speak in order to generate direct consulting business. But you've now packaged sort of the models, the frameworks, the methodologies underneath your consulting process and have others doing the delivery through the network. So, tell me sort of why you made that choice, how that works for you, the good, the bad, the ugly behind
Yeah,
it.
well, it works on a couple levels. First off, I kind of backed into it. And in other words, I was selling a course. I was doing some consulting, but I was also doing a lot more speaking and writing. And so not really finding the time to do the consulting. I didn't want to build a large organization.
Right.
People started, independent marketing consultants and agencies started coming saying, hey, we want to use your course, your methodology, your materials to work with business owners. So like I said, I kind of backed into that and created the Duct Tape Marketing Consultant Network. We have about 150 consultants around the world today that are now working with, at any given time, thousands of small businesses. So in a lot of ways, it did allow me to kind of further my mission of helping small businesses, but it also kind of took us out of building a consulting organization. The good, bad, the ugly. The good is, I mean, I've got ambassadors. They support the mission.
Yep.
They are actually working with small business owners. They're great people that love collaboration. So in a lot of ways, it's been really fun to build a network that between you and me is less about me now than it certainly was, because now they contribute and they're starting to create their own IP and things of that nature.
So what's interesting about that is that the classic model of, John's
Yeah,
the rock star, John's the author, John's the
yeah,
dude, right? And then you book John, you pay a whole bunch of money for that because you get a premium for that, is different than when they have the trust and faith in the
it
network to
is.
book, Fred in
That's
Cleveland
right.
or whoever, and realize that as being part of your network, the burden is on you, John, to have screened and validated, make sure he's quality, make sure there's some consistency in terms of following a framework and methodology. So what's the any of the challenges in terms, because I've seen other folks do this with coaching networks where there's, like any business, there's
Yeah.
good and bad, but finding the right people to follow in the right way and deliver a way that satisfies clients.
Yeah, I think you hit those are some of the key points, but it also, I think, for us, we learned that we've got to build infrastructure around it. I can't guarantee that somebody's going to deliver exactly like I would, in every situation. But the more training, the more connecting, the more real in-person
To
events that
support
we
them.
do,
Hmm.
the more support that we can give. It helps maintain the quality of what our point of view is or how we would do it, kind of thing. But obviously, that
Yep.
takes
Yeah. Yeah.
staff, and
Yeah.
that takes a willingness to invest in days, of
Yep.
in person events and things. So it in some ways it comes at a price, and the other option certainly is that there are people out there that sell the weekend
Sure. Sure.
certification training course, and good luck. Where I think those have a bigger challenge is I think it's harder to build true
Sure.
momentum with those, but also you really give away there is no quality control. You're not putting your name on on that necessarily.
Exactly. Exactly. And I would also say, from an organizational perspective, you need to change your focus and say, yes, we care about the end user, right? The guy that's got the mid cap company in Denver, we're going to help, but actually we're of service to these consultants to make them successful, and we have to support them. So you have to sort of change sort of what you're doing and how you're doing it, what their needs are, and how you can help them from a marketing, branding, and making them successful.
Completely, and between you and me, that's a lesson we had to learn. That
Yeah, 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 yeah.
you know,
Who's the
I
customer,
mean,
right?
that
Yeah,
came over time, because when I first started the network, as I said, it was kind of like, oh, sure, here's another arm of the organization, but we're still out here promoting our products and services. And, it's almost like we've got this channel, but now we're competing with the channel. And so,
yeah, that's a problem.
That causes a little bit of grief, but you're absolutely right. The network, the members of the network, if we can make them successful, our job of getting more of them and all those things just gets a lot easier.
Well, this has been great, John. We're running out of time here. Final thoughts, reflections, or maybe shall I say to tee up the new book, meditations, that might just perhaps feed somebody's soul?
Well, I feel like I need to tell them where they can buy the book with that, but I'm not sure that's what you're really asking me.
Well, we know we can get it on Amazon and elsewhere, but no, I was just sort of any final thoughts, because I love the courage that you took with this new book outside of the domain and what you've built over the years. But any thoughts to budding duct tape marketers out there?
You bet. I mean, as business owner of any, whether you're a duct tape marketer, you're a plumber, you're a consultant, whatever it is that you choose to do. I think as entrepreneurs, I think we have to realize that all the information for how to do what we need to do is out there. Correct. Already. You can YouTube video, anything these days. So the part that's sometimes missing is the mindset. You got to go to work on yourself, make yourself a better leader, make yourself more educated. I mean, just keep growing is part of the practice, I think, of being an entrepreneur.
I love it. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. I appreciate sharing the journey the way you did with us today, and best of luck in all that you do. Thanks so much.
All right. My pleasure. Thanks for having me, Peter.
To learn more about Thought Leadership Leverage, please visit our website at thoughtleadershipleverage.com. To reach me directly, feel free to email me at peter@thoughtleadershipleverage.com. And please subscribe to Leveraging Thought Leadership on iTunes or your favorite podcast app to get your weekly episode automatically.